A couple of years ago, I stopped by the Oculus offices and met with Palmer and Brendan and the whole crew. And they gave me a demo of the latest Rift. And I'd seen VR before, but this was by far the best experience I'd ever seen. It was like teleporting to some other place just by putting on a headset. And it was so good that I didn't really want to leave. Now, when they finally did make me leave, I realized that there was another reason why I was so excited about this. And it's because I was seeing the next great technology platform that's going to define the way that we all connect in the future. Facebook's mission is to make the world more open and connected. And we believe that the more power that people have to share and experience all kinds of different things in the world, the better the world will be. And over time, the way that we share and experience the world is changing. As time goes on, we're getting tools to share and experience richer and richer and more immersive types of media and content. If you go back 5 or 10 years, most of what we shared and consumed and experienced online was just text. Today, most of what we experience is visual, right? There are all these great photos that we can see. And right now, we're entering a golden age of video and animation, where most of what people share and consume and experience is moving and animated, and there's even more immersive content like games that have become an important way for people to express their creativity as well. But this isn't the end of the line. There is always a richer and a more immersive medium to experience the world. And after video, the next logical step is fully immersive virtual reality, where you'll be able to create and experience full scenes and feel like you're right there in them, like this. Now, that's just a 360 video. In the future, you're going to be able to feel like you're right there in the scene. And that's how VR fits into our mission. VR is the next platform where anyone can create and experience anything. And that's why I'm so excited about the future of Oculus. When I first tried Oculus, I thought, OK, now VR is ready. Now, of course, it wasn't actually ready. After about 2 years, we're still pushing the boundaries, and only now are we ready to ship the first consumer products. But in just a few years, VR has gone from being this science fiction dream to an awesome reality. And now we all here have a chance to change the way that we all play, communicate, and collaborate. So that's why I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys today. All of you are inventing the next major platform. Now, this is going to grow slowly. If you think about the arrival of computers or smartphones, the first unit shipped did not ship tens of millions in the first year. But they proved an idea and made it real. And eventually, these platforms, for developers and creators, became major platforms for people to share their creativity with the entire world and to build a different and better world. Facebook is committed to this for the long term. We're going to work hard to serve this community. I want to thank you guys for all being a part of this journey, and we can't wait to see what you're going to build. We're here to make virtual reality the next major computing platform. And at Facebook, this is something that we're really committed to. You know, I'm an engineer, and I think a key part of the engineering mindset is this hope and this belief that you can take any system that's out there and make it much, much better than it is today. Right, so anything, whether it's hardware or software, a company, a developer ecosystem, you can take anything and make it much, much better. And as I look out today, I see a lot of people who share this engineering mindset. And we all know where we want to improve and where we want virtual reality to eventually get. Right? It's this feeling of real presence, like you're really there with another person or in another place. We want hardware that's lighter form factor and smaller, that can do both VR and AR, that can do eye tracking and mouth tracking and hand tracking and so much more. We want software that can let us experience anything, that can help us learn anything with new kinds of education content, and can let us do things that it wouldn't be so easy to do today, like floating through space and without gravity. Now, I want to start today by talking about where we are today as an industry, taking stock of the progress that we've made. So our industry has made more progress in the last couple of years than I think any of us could have really hoped for. Right? When we bought Oculus a couple years back and planted a flag in the ground that we thought that virtual reality was going to be the next major computing platform, at that point, no one had ever shipped a modern consumer virtual reality product. No one had ever seen touch or hand presence. And at that point, certainly, no one would have guessed that just now, 2 years later, there would be more than 1 million people actively using virtual reality products. So now, following this development that this whole community has brought, we have a lot more folks investing in virtual reality. Not just in this community, but we have Samsung investing in virtual reality. We have Valve and HTC investing in virtual reality. Now we have Google and others. So this is really happening. And we have a lot to be excited about. Now, the first step for getting virtual reality out into the world is getting the basic hardware out there. And this is happening, right? And it's happening, I think, at a faster rate than any of us had really expected. And you know, we had a little bit of a slow start earlier this year on Rift, but now that's rolling out quickly. And we're going to get touch in your hands by the end of this year, too. So we're excited about that. Now, we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about these products and talking about hardware, because there's a lot more innovation in hardware to go to get to that ultimate experience that we all want. But it's also true that with the hardware we have today, it's already possible to build some pretty amazing experiences. So what I want to focus on today here is what I think we need to do in the next phase of developing virtual reality, which is building great software experiences. Now, I want to tell you a fun story quickly before we get into this. One of the fun parts of my job is that whenever a president or a prime minister from another country comes to the US, they often want to come to Facebook to see what new technology we're working on. And that means that I get to be the first person who's ever showed them virtual reality. And you know, they usually don't have much time because they're running a whole country. But so I get to show them a few things. I normally take them into Toy Box. We play some ping pong in zero gravity. We'll make a sculpture in medium. I'll show them a 360 video. And depending on what kind of a leader it is and what their culture is, maybe we'll play a first-person shooter too. And to the person, by the time the demo is done and we take the headset off, they're just amazed, right? And they don't want to leave. Right, so I actually had this one situation where the wife of a prime minister was yelling at her husband that he had to leave, go catch the plane to go home, and he was just sitting there like, I was told there was a dinosaur. I demand to see the dinosaur. Here's the dinosaur. So, the magic of VR software is this feeling of presence, right? The feeling that you're really there with another person or in another place. And helping this community build this software and these experiences is the single thing that I am most excited about when it comes to virtual reality. Because this is what we do at Facebook, right? We build software and we build platforms that billions of people use to connect with the people and things that they care about. Now, when I was in college, getting started thinking about all this, I actually studied both computer science and psychology. Now, I wasn't there for very long, but early on in psychology, you do learn that the brain is specifically wired to care about people first, right? That's why we have all these centers of the brain that are just about processing and understanding people, whether that's understanding faces or language or emotions or relationships. That's why babies can stare at faces for what seems like an unlimited amount of time, because there's so much there to take in and learn about. That's why if something moves on that side of the room, you may not notice it, but if you're talking to someone and they move their eyebrow 1 millimeter, you're going to notice that, right? Because that means that they're conveying a different emotion, and that's a really important signal for you to pick up, right? So think about this for a second. Look around the room, right? What we're wired to see. No one looked around the room when I did that. So let's try that one again. Look around the room. What we're wired to see isn't the chairs or the walls, right? It's the people who are here, right? That's how our brains work, and that's why I've spent my life trying to build technology that puts people at the center of the experience. Now, when I was first getting started thinking about Facebook, I looked around at the internet. It was 2004, and I realized that you could find almost any type of content that you wanted on the internet: games, news, music, movies, reference materials, almost anything, except for the one thing that we all care the most about, which is what's going on with the people that we care about around us. So I built that, and it's going pretty well so far. There are about 1.7 billion people using Facebook today, and I think that just underlies this point that we really want our software to be built with people at the center of it. And in fact, today, when you look at the top mobile apps, 4 of the top 6 of the mobile apps are our social apps that are about communication and putting people at the center. So we all have this deep desire to understand what is going on with the people around us and to be understood ourselves. Now, as much progress as we have made at putting people first in technology, one of the things that I still think is crazy is we're here in 2016, and our mobile phones, or the primary computing platform of today, are still organized around apps and not people. Right? I mean, you pull up your phone and you see a grid of apps. And that is not really how we process the world. Right? It's not really how we think. And I don't think that that's how the next platform is going to work. So think about this for a second. Think about an everyday experience that you have, right? Like going out to dinner with your friends. Right? If that were organized in the way that we organize our phones today, right around where every task or every part of that experience is in a completely different place, so you have to do something different to get there, then first you'd start off, you'd be in a room eating by yourself, probably. And then if you want to talk to your friends, you'd have to stop eating and get up and go to a different place. And if you wanted to take a photo with your friends, you'd all have to get up and walk to a different room together. So that's not how we live, right? That's not how we process the world, and that isn't going to be how virtual reality works. So virtual reality is the perfect platform to put people first because of presence, right? Because you feel like you're really there in another place with people, right? You have the space where you can do anything you want, right? You can play a game, you can do work, but more importantly, you are free to explore, and you're probably going to end up doing a lot more things together than you would if every experience was its own app that you had to go into separately. Now, people first doesn't mean that every experience is going to be social, because it's not. Most aren't. But what it does mean is that we should build software and experiences that follow the way that our minds work and the way that we process the world. Right? So that means that every task that we're doing should be part of a broader experience. Now, not every experience in virtual reality is going to be social. As a matter of fact, most aren't. And we're really committed to helping this community build all kinds of different experiences. So that's why today I am proud to announce that we have already invested more than $250 million into this community to fund the development of all kinds of content, from games to media and more. So we're very proud of that. And we are excited to announce that we are committing another $250 million to fund even more content development from folks in this community. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. We're really excited to support this. Now, we're also excited about supporting content beyond games. Right? One area that I'm personally really excited about is education. Right? And I think that education is going to be a really powerful example of the potential of VR. Already today, about 10% of the experiences in the Oculus store are education. So we're going to do 2 things. First, we're going to create a dedicated section of the Oculus store for all of the education content and experiences that you guys create. And second, we're going to start a fund, an education fund, with $10 million to fund and support developers who are building education content for VR. So this is something that we're really excited about. All right. Now, there is one more kind of software that I'm really excited to talk about today. And that's computer vision software, because computer vision software can unlock an entirely new category of VR products. Now, one of the hardest problems today in computer vision is called inside-out tracking. Right? The idea is that you have your headset, and you have a couple of cameras on the headset, and you have computer vision software that's looking at the image that the cameras see to determine exactly where you are in a room down to a millimeter or two. And no one has gotten this to reliably work in virtual reality yet. Right? Even Rift, which does track your position as you move through space, does it with a method called outside-in tracking, where we put a camera on the desk, and it tracks your headset and your hands as you move through space. And that's great, but there's a limit, which is that it only works when you're sitting at your desk or at home. So today, there are two primary categories of virtual reality products. Right? There's mobile, like Gear VR, which is great, and it's affordable, it's portable. You could take it anywhere with you that you want. It's not quite as powerful as a PC, and you can turn sideways around and look at the world, but without inside-out tracking, you can't actually move through space in it. But it's a great and affordable experience. The second category is PC VR, and that's like Rift. Right? And that is the highest quality of virtual reality experience that you can get today. It's really powerful. It is powered by a high-powered computer, which means that it's a little bit more expensive. And because you're tethered to the computer, you can't really take it with you out into the world. So we believe that there is a sweet spot between these. Right? A standalone virtual reality product category that is high quality, and that is affordable, and that you can bring with you out into the world, because it's not tethered to a PC, and because it has inside-out tracking, so it can track your position as you move through the world. So we're working on this now. And it's still early, so I don't want to get your hopes up too much. It's, we have a demo, but we don't have a product yet. But this is the kind of thing that we believe will exist when you combine the kind of hardware innovation that we're doing with Oculus and the kind of next generation software experiences and breakthroughs that we're talking about for the next generation of VR. So we're making progress on this computer vision software that's going to enable this entirely new category of product. And I figured let's take a look at where we are in developing this.
Very cool.
So we have a prototype that we can show. So that's why we believe that building great software experiences is going to be the key to unlocking the next phase of virtual reality and going towards this ultimate goal. Right? We're going to build a software platform that puts people first. We're going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into all kinds of different content for you to build, whether it's games or different types of media or education content. And we're going to continue making progress on computer vision until we can unlock this completely new category of virtual reality product. Now, there's a saying in technology that it's often easier to predict what the world is going to be like 20 years from now than it is to predict what the world's going to be like 3 years from now. Right? And I think we all know in virtual reality what the world's going to be like 20 years from now. It's going to be the next major computing platform. So the real question is, what do we need to do over the next 3 years or next few years to help make that possible? And we believe that the key for the next phase is building these great software experiences to unlock all these different things. We're all here because we are legitimately excited about the future, and we are committed to making it a reality. And we believe that one day, almost everyone is going to use virtual reality to improve how we work, how we play, and how we connect with each other. But we know that the most important technologies don't start off mainstream. Right? In fact, a lot of them seem maybe even too crazy or complex to start. And the conventional thinkers will always say that there's going to be something more familiar, right, that delivers enough of the value. So why build a completely new platform? Right? They say, why build the PC when most people just want a word processor? Why build the whole internet when most people like dialing up through AOL? Why put a computer in your pocket when most people are just asking for a phone that texts well? And why build virtual reality when most people think 2D screens are pretty good today? The reality is, at every step along the way, the future is built by the people who believe it can be better, the people who are dedicated to creating that foundation for all of us to build upon. And that's why we're all here. And that's why I am excited to be here with you. So thanks for all coming out today. Now, a lot has happened since the last time we were all here. A couple of years ago, most of us wouldn't have predicted that today there would be doctors prescribing VR for pain relief in hospitals, or that overall there would be more than 100 million VR app downloads out there. Virtual reality is about imagining the world as it could be. And last year we talked about how VR can put people first and put us at the center of the experience more than any other computing platform out there. And that's because VR is unique in creating this sense of presence, like you're right there with another person or in another place. Now, some people say that VR is isolating and antisocial. I actually think it's the opposite. Yeah, today we need this big headset, and that's not great. We're working on it. But saying that VR is isolating because it's immersive is a really narrow view of the world that you're all building. The reality is we all have limits to our reality. Places we can't go, people we can't see, things we can't do. And opening up more of those experiences to all of us, that's not isolating, that's freeing. And it's already starting to happen. Not long ago, if you were paralyzed, your chance of recovery was almost zero. But today, there are groups like the Walk Again Project that are using Rift to help patients see their legs moving again, and that helps restore neural function in their brain. And in one study, all 8 patients who had this therapy regained some motor control. So this is a video where someone is starting to take their first steps towards kicking a ball again. And then there were people like Dorothy Howard. Dorothy is an 80-year-old grandmother living in the UK. She owns an Oculus Rift. And a few weeks ago, she posted in the official Rift group on Facebook to troubleshoot an issue. And she said, I'm not going to do the accent well. I bought a Rift as I am no longer fit to go on holidays. It is fantastic, and I'm looking at spectacular worlds. Dorothy is awesome. Now, a lot of us are probably thinking, all right, maybe I don't have a disability. I can see my friends whenever I want to. I'm definitely not an 80-year-old British grandmother. All right, fine. You got me. But look, if you can't think of any way that your reality can be better, then you're not thinking hard enough. Take your work. How long is your commute every single day? Now, I don't know anyone who sits in traffic and thinks to themselves, man, right here, this is the best that reality can be. Now, a lot of people have ideas on how to make transportation better, right? Self-driving cars, hyperloops, and don't get me wrong, I love all of that stuff. But it's 2017, and the biggest trend in transportation is that it's a lot easier to move bits around than atoms. Last month, one of my neighbors told me that his company is distributed, so they do all their meetings in virtual reality. This is actually the Facebook Spaces team's regular Friday meeting, and they do it in Spaces because they're located in all different cities. And this way they don't have to get on a plane or drive in cars. I hope that's not what they're discussing in their meetings, but and it's much better than a video conference. You can see people's gestures. You can actually do work together. But this is bigger than just recreating the physical world. Right? In my office, on my desk, I have one screen. But in VR, I can have this completely custom setup. Right? I can have people pop in. I can show them what I'm working on a bunch of different displays. But still, this is even bigger than this. It's even bigger than saving a few hours on your commute every day or a few $1,000s on your setup. But this year, I've been traveling around the country, and a lot of the places that I've visited just don't have as much economic opportunity as we do here. But we have the ability to help create a world where fewer of us are limited to only doing jobs that are nearby us. Enabling us to be present anywhere creates opportunities for people everywhere. Now, beyond work, think about all the experiences that you may never get to have. Most of us will probably never get to experience zero gravity or travel to the International Space Station, but you can in VR. And you know what? That's somewhere that I think I'd like to take my daughters one day. Or think about the education opportunities. This is a real program at Stanford that helps pediatric cardiology students visualize heart issues and how to fix them. There should be a version of this for every education lesson and job training program out there. Or let's think about entertainment. Our reality can be a lot better there, too. Because I don't think anyone's ideal of playing games with friends is that you're each sitting at your own home looking at your own screen. We want to be together. And in VR, you can do this because it's immersive. This year, Echo Arena won Best VR Game at E3. And this is a game that I think most of us have been waiting to play since we read Ender's Game in middle school. I think more games are going to be like this a decade from now. And my team didn't beat me. But there's more than games here. What about live sports and concerts? We're creating a new experience that we're going to release next year called Venues. And Venues lets you watch live concerts and live sports and premieres of movies and TV shows all around the world with your friends and with thousands of other people at the same time. And it's another example of how VR is going to bring us closer together in ways that might not be possible in the physical world. So that was a look at our early development there. All right, so whenever people say that we're building virtual reality because we're not satisfied with the one we live in, my answer is, of course we are. And that's a good thing. We believe that the future can be a lot better. Optimism is good. Now, it's true that nothing is ever going to replace being with someone in person or doing something physical. But when we can experience those things, when we run up against the limits of reality, VR is going to make our reality that much better. So we're setting a goal. We want to get 1 billion people in virtual reality. And there are going to be challenges to work through. We have to build a safe environment, and we have to make sure that virtual reality is a force for good in the world. And we have to make sure that virtual reality is accessible to everyone. Now, today, there are 2 main categories of VR products. There's mobile, like Gear VR, which is affordable, and you can take it with you, but it's not as powerful as a PC. And it doesn't have positional tracking, so you can't move through space. And then there's PC VR, like the Rift. And this is the world-class virtual reality experience, but it's a little more expensive, and it ties you to a fixed computer. If we're going to get 1 billion people in virtual reality, we have to keep working on both affordability and quality. But we also have to find the sweet spot in the middle, that high-quality, affordable experience that doesn't tether you to a PC. So today, I'm excited to announce the first product in this sweet spot. It's an all-new standalone headset that doesn't require you to snap in a phone or attach a cable. We're calling it Oculus Go. And Oculus Go is the most accessible VR experience ever. It's an all-in-one headset. It's great for playing games, for watching movies, and for hanging out with friends. And the price is only $199. And it's going to ship early next year. Early next year. All right, but that's not the only thing we're working on in the sweet spot here between mobile and PC. Last year, we talked about how the key to unlocking new categories of VR experiences is inside-out tracking. Right? It's this idea that instead of having cameras around the room that look at you to determine your location, you put the cameras on the headset and use computer vision software to determine your location as you move through space. So last year at OC3, we gave you an early look at our progress on building inside-out tracking. And today, I am happy to announce that we're going to have Santa Cruz headsets in your hands, in the hands of developers, in the next year. And it's going to ship with 6 degrees of freedom tracked controllers. And so this is a big deal, right? Because this is the first time that anyone has ever shown a complete experience of inside-out tracking working on a standalone headset and fully tracked controllers. So here's what it looks like. All right. So standing up here today, I am more committed than ever to the future of virtual reality. It's not about escaping reality. It's about making it better. It's about curing diseases, connecting families, spreading empathy, rethinking work, improving games, and yes, bringing us all closer together. VR is about imagining the world as it could be. And the road ahead, it won't always be easy. But we have some of the most talented people in the world here in this room working on this. And if we all do what we need to, if we all keep working on building great experiences and putting them in the hands of more people, then VR will change the way we see the world, and it will make all of our lives a lot better. So last year, we talked about how our long-term goal was to help get 1 billion people into virtual reality. So let's start off by checking in on how that's going. All right. Now, We have the saying at Facebook that the journey is 1% finished. And in this case, maybe not even quite. But I'm confident that we're going to get there, because just imagine all the ways that being able to feel really present with someone, no matter where they are, imagine all the ways that that's going to change how we communicate, how we game, how we work, almost every category of what we do. Now, I bet that almost every person here has had the experience of introducing someone to VR for the first time. And you've seen how people just can't stop smiling. Right? They're giddy. They don't want to come out. You know, that it's clear that this sensation of presence is a new kind of digital experience. And we're getting closer and closer to being able to easily step between physical and virtual worlds. So for me, this isn't a question of whether we're going to get there, it's how. Or what is the exact roadmap? What are the exact next steps we need to take on the path there? And now, I think that we all need to focus on solving two important problems next. So the first is that we need to build an ecosystem that's self-sustaining, right? Where developers can afford to, well, and we're back. All right, wonderful. The first problem we need to solve is getting the microphone to work. Assuming we can do that, then we are on to the second problem, which is building an ecosystem which is self-sustaining, where developers can afford to build high-quality experiences because there are enough people who are using these platforms who are going to pay for the content. Now, I guess the second or the third problem, if you will, is that we need to build a product with a form factor that is comfortable, that you can take with you anywhere you go, and that is powerful enough to run any experience we want. So, all right, let's go talk about the ecosystem first. All right, so right now, there are thousands of titles for VR. There's everything from art to social VR to live music. It's a broad enough range, so if you have a cousin who's into dinosaurs, or a grandma who's into strategy games, who is an awesome grandma, then there's going to be something for them in VR. But right now, a lot of this is indie development. Right? A lot of it is still funded directly by us to help get the ecosystem started. Some of it is big studios exploring, even if it's not profitable yet. So the big question is, what is it going to take for it to be profitable for all developers to build these kind of large efforts for VR? And to get to that level, we think that we need about 10 million people on a given platform. Right? So that's the threshold where the number of people using and buying VR content makes it sustainable and profitable for all kinds of developers. And once we get to and cross this threshold, then we think that the content and the ecosystem are just going to explode. Now, importantly, this threshold isn't 10 million people across all different types of VR. Because if you build a game for Rift, it doesn't necessarily work on Go or PlayStation. Right? So we need 10 million people on each platform. So with this in mind, we're now directing our roadmap so that future versions of the products that we build are going to be compatible with the current ones. So when we release the new version of Rift, which isn't today, by the way, all of the content that works for Rift is going to work on that next version too. So this means that every generation of what we build is going to build towards this threshold. And once we get there, we think that the content and the activity in the ecosystem is just going to really take off. All right. Now, in addition to the ecosystem, we also have to make progress on the form factor. Now, if we're building products that are going to run similar content across generations, then that means that we need to lock in certain key decisions now, like what the input is going to be. Right? So that way, those things can be consistent over time. So we need to ask, what are the key attributes of the ideal VR system that we want to lock in now? We've talked to a lot of people in the community. People who use Rift and Go and all the other VR devices. And we think that there are a few key qualities that any VR system that gets to scale needs to have. So first, it needs to be standalone. It's that way there are no wires. Yeah. That way there are no wires that are going to break your feeling of presence or anything like that. and you're going to be able to take it with you. All right, second, it's got to support hands, right? Because that's going to be how we interact with people and objects in a natural way in virtual reality. And third, it has to offer 6 degrees of freedom. So you could not just walk around or look around, but you can also walk around and move through a virtual space just like you would in a physical one. All right, so if we can bring these 3 qualities together into one product, then we think that that is the foundation for the ideal form factor for VR. So we've been working on this for years now. And at Connect, for the past couple of years, you've heard me talk about Project Santa Cruz. And today, we have some news for you. I am excited to announce Oculus Quest. It is shipping in the spring, and it is going to cost $399. This is it. This is the all-in-one VR experience that we have been waiting for. It's wireless, it's got hand presence, 6 degrees of freedom, and it runs Rift-quality experiences. Full inside-out tracking, full freedom to move around, no cables, no external sensors, just really good positional tracking. It's got adjustable fit, so it's comfortable to wear with glasses. It's got built-in 360 audio, even better than what we shipped with Oculus Go, even without headphones. And it is shipping with touch controllers to deliver the same hand presence that you get with Rift. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of you who gave us feedback on this, because you might know that when we started working on this, we were actually planning on building a different input device. But because we got so much feedback that the input should be the same as Rift, we went with Touch. And now we're doing even more work to bring these ecosystems closer together over time. And by shipping with Touch, we're going to be able to work with all of you to bring a lot of the most successful games from Rift to Oculus Quest, including Robo Recall, The Climb, and Moss, just to name a few. And we're going to have more than 50 titles available for Oculus Quest at launch. All right, let's take a closer look.
Oculus Quest is an all-in-one VR system. It's just you and your hands, completely free and immersed. With 6 degrees of freedom, state-of-the-art optics, and built-in audio. You can forget about wires, PCs, and phones. Oculus Quest is ready to play when you are. The headset relies on 4 ultra-wide angle sensors to map your environment as you navigate through it. And with Oculus Insight tracking, every move you make in the real world translates right into the game you're playing. Combine that with Oculus Touch controllers, and the game is at your fingertips. So when you grab, swing, or cast a spell, you'll feel the power of every gesture. The next level of VR gaming is finally here. Introducing Oculus Quest.
So this thing is, it's just wonderful. All right, you're all going to be able to try it out right here at OC5. And some of the experiences are just really amazing. You can play tennis. We have a tennis court set up. So you have one person on one side on the tennis court playing and another person on the other side in the living room. And you can see how the experience just scales up and down nicely with the amount of space that you have available. You see the ball coming, you run towards it. You see your hand, you hit it, you get haptic feedback. It's awesome. You're going to be able to play dead and buried out there. It's basically like playing paintball. You get to run around with your friends, ducking behind virtual objects, except no physical welts. So that's better. All right, so this is all set up. and you're going to be able to try all this stuff out right after this keynote today. Now, with Oculus Quest, we will complete our first generation of VR products. So there's Oculus Go, the most affordable way to experience VR for the first time. There's Oculus Quest, the all-in-one VR experience that we've been waiting for. And there is Rift, for experiences that need a PC to push the edge of what's possible. So from here, we're going to make some big leaps in both tech and content for the future generations of each of these products. We're going to build each of these as platforms, so everything that you build for them today is going to work on future versions of these devices. This is all still early, but this is the basic roadmap. This is what we need to do for VR to succeed and to get to the future that we all want. Now, the next few years are going to be a really exciting time for VR and AR, and I'm really excited to see what we all build together.